What's going on, guys? So, don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to die the scales on this knife. I'm going to strip it down real quick, show you how to do that, and then we're going to clean the scales up, dye them, and put it back together. And hopefully it doesn't take very long because it's date night with a girlfriend. But we're dyeing the mini bug out. Guess I should hold the show side. There you go. We're going to make this a black knife with orange accents. I feel like that'll be a nice knife, and maybe I'll carry it on Halloween, huh? Here we go. So, first we'll take out the pivot. So we back the pivot screw out. Now this is the easiest part, taking the knife apart. It's putting it back together that can be a problem. And when you're taking it apart, make sure to remember you're going to need something to push that pivot out. So I use a welding rod that I've busted all the flux off of. I use the same welding rod to dip my scales and swirl them in the solution. But that we can take. I want to keep the washers with it, but one stayed in there. I want to get him out on my terms, that way. Got him stuck right in there. But I want to keep him exactly how he is on the blade so it doesn't change. Let's see if I can't fish that guy out of here this way. Yeah. Let's try it like this. Maybe that's on camera for you guys. If not, sorry, but just trying to not lose it. Now that's going to go on the bottom side of the blade, just as it's sitting. So then we got this, right? The axis lock and the scales. So let's pop the pocket clip off. This is a T6 driver we're using to take the pocket clip off. It's a T10 driver for the pivot screw. But the reason I'm really doing this is because I've dyed a few knives so far. I'm not a professional or a master of it whatsoever, but people keep asking how, so this is how. Take our first scale off. Like I said, I'm in a hurry, so I'm sorry if it's not pretty and the camera's not picking everything up like I wanted it to, but that's our why can I not speak? That's our axis lock and our scale and our back spacers. That's what we have left. So then let's take the back spacers off just by taking out the other screws on the other side. Those will pop right off. I always like to put them back exactly where they were, so that's on the back of the knife and this one's on the butt of the knife. So the one on the butt of the knife is going to go behind the one on the back. Now we need to take the axis lock loose. All that's going to be these two screws here. Get that one out. Get this one out, and then we're free. We pick our axis lock up, set it over with our blade, and we've got two scales completely broke down, ready to clean up and dye. Now I'm sure a lot of you can break your knife down faster, may have a better way. That's what works for me, so I'm good with it. 5 minutes is not really too long for me. Putting it back together, if I could do that in 5 minutes, that would be awesome. Sometimes the blade goes right in, sometimes it's a pain in the ass. So here we're going to go ahead and get set up with our pot. We're going to put 4 cups of water. Well, no measuring cup. No measuring cup. To get started dyeing, we're going to add 4 cups of water. Then we're going to add about a 1/4 cup of white vinegar. Just regular old Great Value white vinegar. About a 1/4 cup. Maybe more. Can't hurt it anymore. I think it helps it absorb better or something. Not really sure. And we're going to turn it on high. We're going to get synthetic RIT dye. This is graphite, but it's black. Believe you me, it gets black. And the longer you leave it in, the blacker it'll be. So, about a 1/2 bottle. I've already used this once, so there'll be the rest of that bottle. And then we're going to clean up our scales. So the way I like to do this is to take this LA's Totally Awesome from Dollar General and soak them. Flip them over and soak them. Just right here on the countertop too. Then take an old hard bristle brush of some sort and scrub them. You want to get any grease and oil that might have been on the knife, any dirt that you got on it, handling it, playing with it, you want to get all that off of it. You want to make sure. So I scrub the inside and the outside. Then I soak them back down again and do it a second time. Then I rinse them off and dry them off, get them ready so that when the pot's ready, we can dip and dye. This process takes almost no time whatsoever. I just hope the color comes out the way I like it to. If it doesn't, we'll stick it back in and leave it longer. That's the great thing about dyeing black is you can't go too dark. And that can happen really fast doing other colors. My first time trying this, I tried to dye my girlfriend's mini bugout purple. And it was a white scale. And I did it just a little too long and it was almost so dark you couldn't tell it wasn't black. But I got her a new set of scales and dyed those purple and they look great. So we spray the inside, but this time we're gonna flip it again, spray that top side a little more. Now our water's starting to get to where we want it to be at, or dye, so I'm gonna try to hurry here. This is a brand new knife, other than being handled maybe 30 minutes total time. So these aren't too dirty. If yours are dirty, make sure you get them clean. Alright. Feel like those are pretty clean. Let's rinse them off. Residues in the cleaner. Alright, let's stop this from happening here. Alright. Let's wipe all that up. So we're going to take these guys and we're going to hook them through the big hole and through the small hole, both facing outward. And then I'll take this and I'll bend it so they can't come off. And they just dangle. And while I spin this through there, I'll spin it in a manner that makes it flip and flop so it all gets a good coating. Okay, it's rolling ball. They're orange. You just want to whip it around. This being an old welding rod helps a good bit because it is not straight. So when you spin it, get a lot of action. Now this is what we're starting to look like here. Just keep it going. You can dye any color black because black covers. Black is always dominant. Going with a full black and not just a blackish orange. Let's see what we're getting now. We're getting there. We're really getting there. But we want all of that orange covered up. They are looking good. One more dip for good measure. Now if you're doing another color, you want to be checking this constantly. And definitely not doing as I'm doing. When you pull it out to check, make sure you rinse it off, dry it off, and see how it looks. You can always re-dip it. There's no reason to be in a hurry if you're doing a lighter color. But doing black, that's gonna do it. So let's take a look at these guys straight out of the die. Now we're going to rinse them off, clean them up, dry them off, and put it all back together. Alright, now it's time to put it back together. So I like to put the handle back together first, the way we took it apart, and slide the blade with the washers in after. Sometimes it can be a real pain to get the washers back right and centered and get the pivot back in, but hopefully we can make it happen without too much of a struggle. First things first, let's pop this guy on. Make sure he's seated on the screws. Dealing with these tiny screws with short stubby fingers is no fun, but it's worth it. I believe that's going to look good. Get this guy on. Now during this point I really don't care for thread locker or anything else. Go back and put thread locker on after the knife is back together. Oh wow, what am I doing? Here we go. Slide this guy in here. And we'll get that bottom screw in. One thing with this, guys, you gotta catch your threads, because sometimes that'll push away from you, but when you put this top in, holds it firm. So that's this side of the knife put back together. Now we just need to put this guy back in place, snap it over. Is everything fitting? And screw it down. I believe that's going to look good, if I do say so myself. That's enough. Got a pocket clip screw in here somewhere. No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm sorry. I was about to say I was missing a pocket clip screw, but it's still in the pocket clip. Get that one in. Go up here, put this top guy in. And the middle guy here. Make sure everything's flush as it should be. And it is. So that's that. Getting the handle back together. So we're going to look with our orange, and we'll have an orange thumb stud too. I think this is going to be okay. So before we start to put the blade back in, we want to loosen these guys back up a little bit, because we don't want very much pressure on our knife. We don't want very much pressure on our knife when we're sliding the blade back in. And this is the perfect time to oil your knife. I don't know what you guys use. I use lubricating oil from a gun cleaning kit. Works just fine. I use the Benchmade bag to wipe down my washers. I'll put a little dab. Oh, we'll wait. That side goes up. This side goes just like that on this side. Clean all that up. And just put a little bit of oil right here. Work it there with your finger. Do another piece of a dab there. Work that in with your finger. And this washer here. Not going to be able to pick him up. He goes just like that. This one here goes back just like that. It's a little heavy on the oil. Wipe some excess away. The oil helps hold the washer where it needs to be and helps it be lubricated once it's done. But sliding into the knife, not so simple. So what I usually do is I'll try, without very much success usually, to slide the blade into place. And I'll use my other tools to push my washers. Oh, you don't want that to happen. I'll use my other tool and I'll push my washers around and move the blade around until I can get my washers somewhat lined up. Now I'll use this screwdriver to hold that in place. Let me clean this pivot up. That's disgusting. I don't know what kind of grease they use for that, but it looked terrible. Alright. Now we'll take this guy. It's got a flat spot in it. I want to say flat spot goes to the back. And then we'll try to work this in. Just like that. Then we'll put our pivot screw back. Now we obviously over tightened it a little. And then we'll, as you see, we're a little over this way, off center. And as we back that pivot screw out, it'll bring it to center. We've got a functioning knife again. I know the camera work isn't great on this, but the process is the process. black and orange. Almost forgot. We got to put our pocket clip back on. Now, when we carry our knives, I carry mine right side tip up. So it's going to put my pocket clip right here. Slide our T6 back in here. Line up on the screw that I left in the pocket clip. Twist it in here. Slide that one around. Yeah, I hate dealing with these little screws. Lock this one in. Thanks for watching, guys. If this helped you out, give me a like and a subscribe. Thanks.